You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
All right, so you're here because you need the actual playbook, the stuff that works for building a company right now, not the tired old advice about just hustling harder.
Exactly. We're going to try and distill what really matters. We're looking at founder psychology, the nuts and bolts of operations that actually work, and probably the biggest one, how to deal with this massive AI shift.
The huge landscape. So let's just jump straight in. I want to start by asking you, the person listening, a pretty direct question based on what we've seen. What kind of founder are you, really?
And this is more than just a personality thing. We're seeing three main types of builders emerge.
Yeah.
First, you have the missionaries.
Okay, what defines them?
They have this deep, almost spiritual belief in what they're doing. They're building the world they think should exist.
And then there are the mercenaries.
Right. They love the game. They love the chase, the complexity of it, the win at the end. The mission is fine, but the process of conquering the market is what drives them.
And the third type, the performers. They get a bad rap sometimes, right?
Oh.
Like they're just fakers.
Yeah, that's the stereotype. But it's more that they just excel at the external part, the pitch, the story, generating that excitement. They're incredible at that.
So is one of these better than the others? Is there a right answer?
That's the fascinating part. The insight is that it almost doesn't matter where you start. The far more critical question is, who are you becoming while you build?
So the company is a vehicle for your own growth, too.
It's a machine. A machine for
Uh-huh.
doing something that's impossible for one person alone, but, your mindset, that's the fuel for that machine.
Okay, if the company's a machine, then communication has to be the oil that keeps it running smoothly. And a lot of people think leadership communication is just charisma. You either have it or you don't.
And that's totally wrong. It's not a charisma problem, it's a fit problem. We've been calling it the other PMF personality message fit.
I like that, like product market fit.
Exactly. The idea is your delivery has to fit who you are, what you're saying, and who you're saying it to. If you're that earnest missionary, but you try to act like a cool, detached mercenary, it just won't work. It fails the fit test.
So I'm about to go into a big pitch meeting.
Hmm.
I shouldn't be trying to sound like some generic tech CEO from a movie.
Please don't. The solution is to stop mimicking that generic leader voice. You
Right.
need to audit your own style, figure out what you're actually good at, and then just practice what we call 30-second micro-clarity.
Get the point across fast and clean. But how can you audit yourself? I mean, when you're in the thick of it, it feels almost impossible to see yourself objectively.
You have to treat it like an experiment. You look for feedback. So if 3 different people ask you the exact same clarifying question after you speak, well, the problem isn't them, it's your system.
So it's an engineering problem, not a performance.
It has to be a design system for clarity.
Okay, so that makes perfect sense for internal communication. But they need to communicate to the market, specifically the capital market.
Yeah.
How do you find your fit there? That's a whole other level of challenge.
It is. And when you're fundraising, you basically fall into one of 2 buckets in an investor's mind.
Let's break down these 2 buckets.
You're either an attention spike, your numbers or your team or the market is just so hot that investors chase you. It's almost instinctual for them. Belief is instant.
Oh.
Or you're an explainer. And for an explainer, belief builds slowly, painfully sometimes. It's built one conversation at a time over a long period.
That explainer path sounds exhausting. We saw that story about the gentleman's founder, right?
It's incredible. I mean, they pitched the same idea, hearing the same objections in hundreds of meetings for 14 months.
What, 14 months?
14
No.
months of just getting told no over and over before finally closing a $45 million round from 12 funds.
Wow. But that raises a question, doesn't it? In a market moving this fast, can you really afford to be an explainer for 14 months? Isn't there a point where the market just leaves you behind?
That's the risk, and it's exactly why this next insight is so important. Investors don't fall in love with great results. They fall in love with great thinking.
So the persistence of the explainer is what proves the quality of the thinking.
It manufactures belief over time, and that belief, especially for explainers, relies so much on signaling.
Which brings us to angel investors. It's a good reminder that your cap space is precious. Who you pick early on isn't just about the money, it's about the signal they send to VCs later. Their network becomes your shortcut.
And that entire signaling game can be thrown off by things totally outside your control. I mean, look at what happened in the UK.
Right, with a proposed exit tax?
Yeah, you had over 150 entrepreneurs and VCs pushing back against a proposed 20% tax on founders who move abroad. Their argument was that it just punishes success and would drive talent away. It makes the whole environment feel less competitive.
It just shows how fragile the whole system can be. You can have the best idea, but if the macro environment shifts, your operational plan is suddenly at risk.
And that's a perfect transition. Let's talk about operational excellence, because that's the real engine. Let's use the Datadog example.
Their early focus was just extreme.
It was. They spent 6 full months just interviewing users. They didn't write a single line of code. And when they did launch, they sold month to month.
So they could spot anyone who was unhappy immediately.
Instantly. It let them react to churn in real time.
But how does that scale? How do you keep that same level of paranoia when you go from like 10 people to 1,000? It seems like it would just grind everything to a halt.
They designed the culture for it. Even at $100 million in ARR, their engineers still rotate through customer support. Every single complaint is treated as a critical signal by leadership. The whole company is designed to find bad news fast.
And fix it before it compounds. That's the key.
Yeah.
We saw that staggering data from the analysis of over 6,000 software companies.
Yeah, it's wild. At 1 million ARR, the outliers and the normies, as they call them, looked almost identical. In fact, some of the companies that ended up failing were actually growing faster at the start.
So where do they separate?
It was all in the relentless operational improvements after that $1 million mark. That's the compounding startup effect. The outliers just kept tuning the machine.
And the numbers on that are pretty stark.
They really are. 86% of the outliers increased their expansion revenue. 72% boosted their average revenue per account. 51% improved retention. They were pulling all the levers at once.
And that compounding effect must be huge.
It's massive. Just look at pricing. A 50% improvement in pricing for new customers doubled the annual growth rate for those companies. It jumped from 11% to 24%. That's the difference between success and failure right there.
It's about tuning the machine, not just starting it. Speaking of tuning, let's touch on roadmaps. The thinking here is that they shouldn't be these rigid contracts.
No, they should be prototypes for your strategy. Using a model like now, next, later keeps you adaptable.
And you need that same kind of careful, deliberate approach when you bring in senior hires, right? Like a new head of marketing.
Oh, absolutely. The temptation is to just throw them into the chaos. But you have to slow down. Align on just 2 or 3 measurable goals for their first 90 days. And critically, help them get one quick, visible win.
Like fixing the demo follow-up process or something.
Exactly. Something
Yeah.
that builds trust so they have the capital to make bigger changes later.
And the urgency for all this tuning is just being accelerated by the AI environment. Let's talk about these AI talent wars.
The scale is it's hard to grasp. Over $10 billion spent on 365 M&A deals in just the first part of 2025.
These are acqui-hires mostly.
Mostly. Companies like Google and Microsoft are just buying teams. It's not about the product. It's about getting that specialized talent and their proprietary tech locked down fast.
And the consumption is just exploding. Google is apparently at 1.3 quadrillion tokens a month now.
Which is a 50 times jump in 1 year.
50 times.
In 1 year. This is basically the Jevons paradox in action. The idea that as something gets more efficient and cheaper, you don't use less of it. You actually find more ways to use it, and total consumption explodes. This doesn't look like a bubble. It looks like a fundamental shift.
Which is why founders are scrambling to keep up with pricing. They're changing prices multiple times a year.
They have to. For something like an AI coding tool, you can't have a flat fee. An engineer's usage can swing wildly. The only sustainable model is a hybrid-based subscription fee plus a transparent usage billing on top.
Okay, this brings us to a final, really important strategic point. We just spent all this time praising customer obsession, like with Datadog. But when does listening to your customers become a trap?
This is the BlackBerry versus Netflix lesson. It's a classic.
Yeah.
BlackBerry was obsessed with their customers, and their customers loved a physical keyboard.
So they just kept perfecting the keyboard.
They perfected a temporary customer truth, and in doing so, they completely missed the permanent human need, which was just seamless, efficient communication.
Which the touchscreen and the iPhone delivered.
Exactly. They were blinded by their own expertise. It's called the Einstellung effect. Your past successes actually prevent you from seeing a better solution.
So as a founder, how do you fight that? How do you stop your own expertise from blinding you?
You have to build a system for it. The suggestion is to run, say, a monthly anti-expertise audit. You get your team in a room, and you force yourselves to argue against your most deeply held beliefs, just to see what you might be missing.
That sounds incredibly difficult, but necessary, which is why you can't just rely on one perspective, right?
Yeah.
You need multiple lenses.
You have to. No single view captures the whole picture. You need customer journey maps, you need personas, you need things like Wardley maps to see how capabilities are evolving. You need all of it running at the same time to see the truth.
This has been, wow, a really dense trip from founder psychology to the messy truth of raising money and the power of just tiny operational improvements compounding over time. It's clear that being a successful founder is a process of constant, relentless tuning.
It really is. And maybe, as a final thought for you to chew on this week, Peter Thiel wrote an email a while back predicting that younger generations would start to lose faith in capitalism.
Okay.
So, when you look at the current hyper-competition, the AI arms race, this intense focus on generating wealth over the work itself, you have to ask, what is the permanent human need that every founder is really trying to fulfill when they start building that world-changing machine?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
And a perfect place to leave it. Thank you for joining us on, well, this exploration on vocal technologists. We'll be back soon.
Spoken Tech for your ears.